Yeah, mic check. Man, we are back. We are officially live. Welcome back to Kicking the Real podcast. I'm your host, Andy Diosa. If you're a first time listener, thank you for being here. And as always, if you're a multiple time listener, thank you for being here. Oh my goodness. When I started this podcast, I remember vividly saying, like, there's gonna be moments that I just want to fire this mic up and talk. And I think that's the premise of having the space and having a platform to be able to do so. Obviously, I try to keep interviews coming and themes going and things of that nature. But right now, I just had to fire the mic up because we are coming off one of the best World Series ever. And I know in sports we have become prisoners of the moment a little too much nowadays, but no cap, as the kids would say. This is literally epic stuff that happened between the Los Angeles Dodgers and Toronto Blue Jays. So I had to come here, talk a little bit of baseball. And then I realized I told you I was going to talk about football, and we're going into week 10 of the NFL season. I have yet to talk about the NFL. So this episode is for baseball and football talk. If you're a soccer fan and you're here for soccer reasons, I advise you to go listen to the MLS preview podcast, MLS playoff preview podcast, which I thought was really good with Eli Lester. Shout out to Eli. Um, but no soccer talk on this one. If you're not a soccer fan and you're wanting more sports talk from me, but not soccer stuff, get comfortable because I'm here. All right. Let's start with baseball. The Dodgers are back to back champions. Salute to the Dodgers. The parade happened. My friends in LA are happy. Cool. Yeah, whatever. Um, but nah, the Dodgers. Before the season started, we knew that everybody else was playing for second place, and if you did not believe that, you were naive. So the Dodgers did what they were supposed to do because that's how stacked and good that team is. That being said, the Blue Jays really had the chance to do it. And it's funny because everybody's having these conversations now post World Series, and that's the beauty of sports, right? You take something that's so emotional, so reactionary, so intense, and especially something like a World Series that literally every pitch, every play has some type of standing on the game. You take something that's just so in the moment and then you kind of dissect it little by little. So it's the two complete extremes where you don't really have time when you're in that moment, in that position as a player, as a coach, as anybody involved with the actual game because it is so quick. And now you're kind of slowing down and taking a look back at everything that's happened in retrospect. So, you might have some thoughts about certain things that happen, certain plays, certain calls, non calls, whatever. But to say just the overarching thoughts of the World Series, it was amazing, and there's always so much conversation around Major League Baseball and whether or not the sport is dying out and different things like that. But this whole postseason in MLB was really, really good. The wild card delivered. I mean, you get Red Sox Yankees, it's always going to be interesting. Even that series was pretty close, and I don't think it should have been for many reasons, but it was. And then you talk about a team like the Seattle Mariners, who had an incredible season and just fell a little short of getting to the World Series, right? Toronto Blue Jays, incredible season out of a division that had three teams go to the postseason, fell just a little short of winning the World Series. Talking about a Dodgers team who had to go through the wild card, who wasn't statistically or record wise the best team in baseball. But to my point, they're so stacked, the defending champs. They were always going to be on that stage, I believe. But it still has to happen, right? And the way that the World Series played out between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays was absolutely phenomenal. There were no shortage of storylines. Everything was so suspenseful. Everything was so entertaining. I was watching that as a neutral because I wasn't really cheering one way or another. Sorry to my friends in LA. I was actually rooting for the Blue Jays if I want to be completely honest, but not that I was like, oh, I need them to win. I really didn't care. But to go back to back in any sport is incredible. To go back to back in baseball when you have to play so many games during a regular season and then such a grueling postseason, usually, it's very, very impressive, right? Now, the funny thing about this World Series is the Dodgers were not the better team on the field. And that's the part that I want to start off with because there's all these conversations going on post baseball season now that I think it was Kike Hernandez or somebody that said it in the celebration, like, "Oh, I'm glad that the better team didn't win." It's true. Like the better team in the World Series was clearly the Toronto Blue Jays. The better team in that game seven was clearly the Toronto Blue Jays. But there's a pedigree that you have as a champion, as a team that has experience, and not to bring my bias New England into this, but there's reasons why Tom Brady and the New England Patriots were so good for so many years and able to reign over the NFL. It's because of experience. It's because when you get in those moments that the pressure is super high on you, that everybody's watching, that one little mistake could cost you a game. They know exactly what to do because they've been there before. And that's kind of what happened with the Dodgers in this World Series, right? It's so wild how many things transpired in game seven, in game six, in game five. It almost makes you forget that they played an 18 inning baseball game in game three. Again, the Dodgers played an 18 inning baseball game in game three. Last time they did that was in 2018, which I have to remind you, they also won on a walk-off, but they ended up losing that World Series to the Boston Red Sox. Yes, that's right. Mookie Betts and the Boston Red Sox, for those of y'all that don't remember that. But an 18 inning baseball game, that's like just that itself, when you try to look back at that and dissect how crazy that game three was, incredible. 6-5 Dodgers win on a Freddie Freeman walk-off in the 18th inning. A classic game. Shohei Otani's numbers incredible that day. It was 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and he was on base about 9 times, something of that nature. That's when the Blue Jays, the bell went off, and we're like, we have to start walking this dude, which I want to talk about as well because I know people are having conversations. Oh, you shouldn't walk him and this and that. Listen, I'm trying to win a World Series. I don't care what y'all think about anything I'm doing other than what my team thinks. And if we're trying to win this game, pitching to Shohei Ohtani was not a good idea. We've seen it already. He had a 3-run home game, 3 home run game. Then he goes and has a two home run game. Like they made the right decisions pitching around him. And it was funny because my friends that I was with for game one, I literally brought that up before the game started. I'm like, has anybody considered pitching around this dude? Like, I just wouldn't throw him the ball. But they decided in that game they were finally going to do that. It didn't really matter because, once again, the Dodgers showed that championship pedigree in that marathon game. And having that be at home, of course, plays a big part of how they were able to win that game because as the game went on, instant classic, by the way, as the game went on, you started seeing like the pitching was getting crazy. The Dodgers were kind of running out of ideas because it was going so far into the game. You get Klein out there, the redhead, who just absolutely went crazy, like absolutely crazy. It was incredible performance by him. Then you're looking and the Blue Jays just weren't even hitting the ball at that point. It was kind of just like, who's going to win this game? And you look at the Dodgers lineup, 1 through 9 is capable of walking you off, and that's what happened. So that in itself was just absurd. But then you start going further down the line, right? And the series is going back and forth. The Blue Jays come back the next day, win 6-2. So now you're looking at a tie series going to what's always a fun game five, a pivotal game five, which was also still in LA. And then you have an incredible game five where your Savage has 12 strikeouts. 12 strikeouts, you Savage, bro. Like, first of all, one of the coolest last names ever. Trey, like, your Savage is an amazing last name, but shout out to Trey Savage. Like, incredible. He's 22 years old. The name he made for himself in this World Series is just absurd. He has that amazing game five where he has 12 strikeouts at Dodger Stadium. It's just one of those moments where it's him, it's Blake Snell. You always think like game five is the one that kind of pushes momentum one way or another. The Blue Jays 6-1 win in game five. And now they're up 3-2. They're going back home with 2 chances to win a World Series. 2 chances. Game six is going to happen. If it doesn't happen in game six, you leave it on the line for game seven. But you like your chances, right? You're going back to Toronto. You're in front of your own fans. You're trying to break this. I believe it's a 32-year World Series curse. And all you have to do is win a game at home, right? What happens in game six? Yoshi Yamamoto, an absolute legend, just shuts them down completely. The Blue Jays only score 1 run in that game. That was a pitching duel. The Dodgers ended up winning 3-1 in game six. But you have to remember how the play of the game where the ball gets stuck on the outfield, under the outfield wall. And now you're like, oh man, this is starting to get crazy because it seemed for a moment that the Blue Jays were going to do it. They were going to rally. They have that weird moment, that weird play that you could dissect it however you want. People say if the ball didn't get stuck, the Blue Jays might have scored some more runs and then they win that game. Whatever. I'm saying all that to say we had so much that happened before Game 7 itself. And Game 7 was, back to my point earlier, might have been one of the best baseball games I've seen in a long, long time, if not ever. The Dodgers ended up winning Game 7 5-4. 14 hits for the Blue Jays, 11 hits for the Dodgers. Just an incredible game on all levels, and there's so much to dissect there because it seemed like a very typical Game 7. It's a close game early on. The pitchers are going at it, right? It's 0-0 basically the first few innings, and then Bo Bichette gets the home run in the third inning, puts the Blue Jays up 3-0, three-run home run, and that's when you're like, okay, this is now almost. I mean, with a team like the Dodgers, you're never going to start saying, it's over in the third inning, but that energy starts going in the direction of the Blue Jays. You're like, okay, they're home, they're up 3-0. It's Game 7 of the World Series. Like, this is starting to almost feel real, but you don't count the Dodgers out. They start battling back. It's 3-1 off of a Teoscar Hernandez sac fly in the fourth inning. Tommy Edman hits a sac fly in the sixth inning. Now it's 3-2. So now you're like, okay, now we see what's going to happen. And then the Blue Jays come right back in the bottom of the sixth. Jimenez RBI double. Now they're up 4-2. So now you're like, it's 4-2. It's seventh inning, going into the eighth. Cool. It's really starting to feel real, right? And once again, this damn Dodgers lineup, that wasn't the case. Max Muncy gets the home run in the eighth inning. It's 4-3. You're like, oh God, what's happening now? So it 162 games in the regular season. Then you have, I don't know how many playoff games each team played. I didn't do the math. I'm sorry. And it all comes down to this ninth inning. It's just absolutely incredible theater. It's 4-3. The Blue Jays are up. It comes down to the ninth inning. Of course, Miguel Rojas, who everybody, of course, knows Miguel Rojas, right? Wrong. If Dave Roberts, listen, shout out to my boy Fred. I know you'll probably listen to this, and we talk about Dave Roberts a lot because former Red Sox legend. I've criticized him often over the years because sometimes it seems like he doesn't have the right moves, and because he has such a talented roster, it's like, yo, go ahead and do it. Like, you guys will figure it out. Dave Roberts, I believe it was after Game 5, made a bold choice, which I thought was like basically him throwing in the towel for a second because Mookie Betts, a shell of himself in this World Series, absolutely terrible, at least at the plate. And you could see his visual frustration. He's slamming the bat down. He's doing all types of things. He was just not good. But Dave Roberts moved Mookie Betts into the cleanup spot. He put Miguel Rojas at second base. And when I saw that happen, I believe that was after Game 5 once again. Game 5. I'm just like, man, this is like, I think this is it. This is like Dave Roberts saying, I have no more moves. And nobody in their right mind is thinking like this Miguel Rojas move was going to be, something that ends up helping the Blue Jays win the World Series. The Dodgers win the World Series. And it's exactly what happened. That's why I tell people sports is the greatest, most unpredictable thing in the world, because how Miguel Rojas ends up being the guy, like he hits that home run in the ninth inning to tie the game, right? Incredible. Like, just you would never have even scripted that. Then you get to the bottom of the ninth, and this is where I feel so bad for anybody that sits around a Blue Jays fan, because it just slips right out of your hands in the bottom of the ninth inning. You have the bases loaded. You have one out. Then you have the play that is the one that I'm alluding to earlier, is that everybody's kind of dissecting it in retrospect, where the bases are loaded. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is at third base. If you look at the play, he does not get a good lead at all, and then he doesn't get a secondary lead, and that's kind of what people are saying. Like, that was the play that cost them the World Series, right? Like, that they would have won the World Series on that. And according to him, he said that the coaches were telling him to stay close to the bag, close to the base, which is something that I will never understand. It's the World Series, man. Like, it's obviously you don't want to be the guy that is in a situation where you say you cost your team, because it's a team sport. But any type of better lead in that position, and the Blue Jays win the World Series easily at home, and they're celebrating instead of the Dodgers. That's sad, but that's one thing. Then you get the Andy Pages catch. It's just Andy Pages gets subbed in to center field for defensive purposes, and he covers this amazing amount of ground. He jumps over Kike Hernandez, which I think Kike Hernandez was in a good position to catch that baseball. When it first got hit, I didn't think so. And then as I saw the replay, I was like, I think he would have caught the ball. But Andy Pages was like, I'm not taking any chances. Just Randy Moss is his own teammate, jumps over him, makes an incredible catch. Like all these little moments that they're starting to lead into what seems like it's just not going to happen for the Blue Jays. Back to the bases loaded thing, the force out at home was Miguel Rojas throwing the ball after Miguel Rojas slightly stumbled. So it's like not only did he hit the home run in the top of the ninth, he has a force out at home in the bottom of the ninth, which is something that ends up being what is the World Series moment, I think, for the Dodgers. And then it's an extra inning. It's an extra innings again where you're like, how much more of this are we going to get? For the neutral, it was amazing. I think the ratings were through the roof for this series, and you could show how much interest people had in this because it was just everybody was on edge looking what was going to happen. And then once again, anybody on the Dodgers lineup could do something to you. Will Smith hits a home run in the top of the 11th, and that's it, man. That's all she wrote for the Blue Jays. Mookie Betts forces the double play for the last out. It's poetic, right? Because Mookie's was not good in the batting sense, but he ends up getting the play at the end that ends up clinching it for the Dodgers again. So it's so many things that happen. I just wanted to like come on here and just ramble a little bit because I haven't even mentioned too many players specifically. Like you have Shohei Ohtani in this series, you have Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but it ends up being so much more than the stars. And the thing about the Dodgers is they have many stars, right? But like what Yamamoto did pitching, then coming back into that game seven, pitching game six, and then coming back into that game seven, just incredible. Blake Snell played his part for the Dodgers. Like I mentioned already, is Savage. Max Scherzer is the one that started that game seven. But you look through the lineups, you look through the teams, like everybody had a little bit of a part. Like Kirk was great for the Blue Jays. Varsho, Ernie Clement ends up setting a record. Like you go to the Dodgers side, Max Muncy, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Oscar Hernandez. Like it's just, I don't know, man. I think you're starting to hear me almost like nerd out about this because it was the highest level of competition at the in the biggest stage of what baseball has, and I think sports in general. Because you start thinking about other sports, and you like when you're in a championship moment, whether it's a Super Bowl, whether it's a game seven of an NBA Finals, whether it's a Stanley Cup final game, like I think baseball has a special way of what I mentioned earlier. Every little moment matters, unlike in certain other sports is not the same. And I think there's so many things that just culminated into what should have been a Blue Jays World Series win turning into a Dodgers World Series win. And it's so fascinating to me. It was so much fun to watch. I'm so glad that it happened. I think people, once again, that were neutrals just enjoyed it to the max. People on the East Coast staying up to ungodly hours to watch that game three, and pretty late on Saturday to watch game seven. People that are Dodgers fans obviously celebrating because once again, if you go through the numbers statistically, they weren't the better team, especially in that game. In the series in general, they weren't the better team, the best team throughout the postseason. But in the series specifically, the Blue Jays were better in that sense. But they had these mistakes, man. Base running mistakes kind of plagued them all series. Leaving runners in scoring position is going to be the overarching story for that Blue Jays team. And I was saying to my barber yesterday, shout out to my barber. You can see it if you want YouTube. Like imagine being a Blue Jays player. Like how, if you're a fan of sports, right? And you feel like some bit of depression when your team loses or something bad happens, imagine being a player that was in that game that had this happen to them. Like they were getting ready to celebrate in Toronto. This was equivalent to bringing out the yellow rope in the Heat final where Ray Allen hit the corner three. Like it's so many things that had to go wrong, and they all little by little did go wrong for the Blue Jays. So, and then people always talk about, well, they'll be back, and it's just so hard to get to a championship stage first of all. Never mind get there repetitively. Injuries happen, trades happen, a lot of things happen. These windows, you may think that they're open for a long time, but they shut pretty quickly in every sport. And salute to the Dodgers, man, the best team in baseball again with an incredible roster. Like this is their window, and they know it there, and they have to run it up, and they are rightfully doing so. But it does feel like this one was more of those situations where the Blue Jays let it slip more so than the Dodgers won. But I am not taking any merit away from the fact that Dave Roberts made some incredible calls and they all worked out for him. The fact that the players 1 through 9, the bullpen stepped up, the rotation stepped up. Yamamoto is, I think, a legend now in Los Angeles. Will Smith has been doing it. Like I once again just ringing off these names. I think everybody really did play their part. And it's incredible because you would always look at these games and say like, okay, it's gonna be Otani. Oh, okay, it wasn't just the stars. It wasn't just Vladdy versus Otani, which is what people were tuned in to watch. It was so much more on both sides. So salute to the Dodgers and the Blue Jays for giving us an absolutely incredible World Series. I loved it. If you couldn't tell, I've been rambling about it for 20 minutes, but I had to. So shout out to that. And let's go Red Sox because what are we talking about here? Anyway, moving on. The NFL season is alive and well. Things are happening quickly. I have not come on here to talk any football yet. So here I am to do so because uh, the New England Patriots are once again one of the best teams in the NFL. And I know that that makes a lot of y'all upset. And I know a lot of y'all are going to be salty about it, but it is what it is, man. It's tough being great. It's actually incredible to see Drake May and his progression and what he's been able to do so far this season. I do have to remind people like Drake May, the the weapons he has on offense aren't what you would call like a super dynamic receiving core with Stephon Diggs and Keyshawn Boutte, Hunter Henry, like Pop Douglas is not names that are, uh, you know, let's say what teams have great receivers right now. I mean, it's the Cowboys have a good receiver core. Maybe the Lions. Anyway, I don't want to get into too many specifics there, but what I'm trying to say is that Drake May is making it happen with what he has, and it is obviously to credit of how good he's been this season and how much he's progressed, but it's also credit to what Josh McDaniels has been able to do as an offensive coordinator in New England, which is a place he's obviously very comfortable in. You could tell that he is having fun calling plays there, and he's having fun running an offense that is looking really really good. And then you have Mike Vrabel at head coach, where no disrespect to Gerard Mayo, because Gerard Mayo is a former Patriot, great player. Didn't get his fair share, I think, as coach, but you have Mike Vrabel that just went and kind of changed a little bit of the mentality, the culture, the approach. It's all coming together for New England. It's incredible. The one thing that I still want to see is like, let's get this running game going. Like, you guys drafted Travion Henderson for a reason. Like, let's get that going. Ramondre Stevenson sits out this past game. They beat the Falcons. Got kind of lucky to beat the Falcons because they were coming back there at the end. But anyway, the Patriots are winners of 6 straight. The signature win of the season was still over the Buffalo Bills, but the Patriots schedule is easy going forward. I would love to see that running game, kind of like a 1-2 would be amazing. Kind of what Detroit is doing with Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery. That's what I would love to see in New England. But you got to let the rookie get comfortable. But if that could get going, defensively, we need Christian Gonzalez to stay healthy. He gets hurt every so often, but the Patriots need a little bit more help on the defensive line, a little better pass rush. And then we're talking about a team that, listen, I'm not going to talk about the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl because that's hard to do, right? And when you get deeper into these runs is when things start getting real. But right now, it's very convincing. Drake May is looking like a very confident, dare I say, elite quarterback in the NFL already, which is dangerous for anybody. If he does end up getting some more weapons on that receiving side, then I feel like the sky's the limit for him. And it's fun to see because the division, the AFC East, obviously the Patriots ran it for so long when Tom Brady was there. It's kind of converted over to the Bills now, but today was the NFL trade deadline. The Jets are a poverty franchise. They got rid of Sauce Gardner. They're getting rid of all these defensive pieces. The Dolphins might be one of the worst teams in the league. Every time I watch them, I get more upset that I am watching them because they're awful. So salute to the Dolphins though, because like they have some type of, I don't even know, just naiveness that they're like, oh, this is going to be the week. And then they go and somehow it looks worse than it did. the week before. They got obliterated by the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. That's where I'm going to go next because the Ravens, I think before the season, were a popular Super Bowl pick. Lamar Jackson, obviously at the helm there. Derrick Henry's still Derrick Henry, although he hasn't looked like it this year. But the weapons that they have in Baltimore are legit. Lamar Jackson gets hurt. It's looking kind of shaky for them. But if they get back to form, and Thursday was a great start at it, going against a bad Dolphins team and making Lamar look like the Lamar we all know and expect, I would fully expect them to be in the running for uh, AFC Championship. And then the Bills are the Bills, right? I think the Bills right now are still the elite team in the NFL, and I don't say that confidently because I still don't think any team has put together a full like convincing argument. But this is the NFL. Like we're 9 weeks in. The teams start picking up steam at this time of the year, and they're gonna start showing you where they are, right? But the Bills, Josh Allen is reigning MVP, and he looks just like he's going for another one. It's incredible how good he's been, and he's another one where his receiving core should be, let's say, a little better. I think they haven't gotten enough out of Keon Coleman yet. Khalil Shakir is there, is pretty good asset. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, double-headed monster tight ends. But James Cook, man, James Cook has been one of the best running backs in the NFL this year, and it's just working for them. It's working for them. I think they're going to be an issue, and I think the fact that the Patriots beat them in Buffalo, that second game that the Patriots have to play the Bills, I think the Pats are about to be in for a pretty harsh revenge game, may I say. But the Patriots, man, the schedule's easy the rest of the way. The division is in play, man. Like we can't lose to the Jets. I say we because that's my team. If you didn't know, they can't lose to the Jets. They can't lose to the Dolphins. And then along the rest of the way, like that Bills game is going to be pretty important. I believe they have to play the Ravens as well, so that's a big game. Their game this weekend, I think, is going to be tough because they're playing the Bucs in Tampa out of a bye week for Tampa Bay. But Bucs New England games in Tampa are basically home games because the Patriots fans flood anywhere in Tampa. New Englanders, when they get tired of the cold, they move to Florida, a lot to Tampa. So it's going to be a lot of New England fans at Raymond James Stadium this weekend. I thought about going for a second, but I will not be there. But then you got to look at the rest. They're playing the Bengals, a Bengals team that Joe Burrow's still out injured. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are incredible, but the quarterback situation is Joe Flacco. Then he gets hurt. We don't know too much about what's going on. A good team, though, on offense. Good team on offense. A great team on offense, dare I say, if they had Joe Burrow. Defensively, they're flaming trash. So that's tough. Then they got to play the Giants. The Giants, with the Cam Scatterbo and Malik Neighbors injuries, which is just brutal to see two of your up and coming players done for the year in the same season. It's so sad. But Jackson Dart getting things done here and there, little by little. I still will give the Patriots the edge. So you start looking at these matchups, and it's like I could see maybe 3 tops losses that they will have in the rest of this season, unless they go around and do something stupid like lose to the Jets or the Dolphins, which I don't foresee happening. But it's just incredible that the Pats are back in that position. So I had to say that. Where else do I want to go here? Jaden Daniels, man. Jaden Daniels suffers a really bad injury on was it Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football? It's all blended in here. Sunday Night Football, I believe. Monday night, I don't remember what day it was. The other day. And it sucks because he had such a good rookie year, man. He had such a good rookie year. And then the expectations were super high for him in a division that they're fairly competitive. And it's just this year has been one thing after another. The Commanders had all this momentum coming into the year, and it just has evaporated completely. Now I feel like they just are like it's a lost year for them. And in a season where Jaden Daniels just hadn't been able to put anything together, and then he suffers this bad injury to his elbow, I believe it was. If you haven't seen it, please do not look it up. It's just not good. Makes me sad. It truly makes me sad because it's one of the players I really enjoy. I mean, I think everybody after his rookie year was looking forward to watching him. Just unfortunate there. Speaking of the NFC East, the Eagles are interesting, right? Because they are the reigning Super Bowl champions. And like I mentioned earlier, I still don't think they've put anything together convincing to say they're still the premier and elite team in the NFL. But you look at that offense and you're like, good luck, man. Jalen Hurts, when he's on his game, or when they're letting him throw the ball is really good. Saquon Barkley hasn't been able to do what he did last year, but Saquon's always good for a big play any moment of the game. So Saquon is still Saquon. If you could get AJ Brown and Devontae Smith to more involved, and you could get Jalen more involved, and you have Dallas Goedert there, like that's such a stacked offense. It's gonna make problems for anybody. I still think the Eagles are right there. I would say probably as one of the best teams in the NFC. In the NFL as a whole. Definitely in the NFC, but in the NFL as a whole. But we still need to see that next step. But it is dangerous because this is kind of the same conversations we were having with the Chiefs a few years ago, where they were going through these runs, and it's like we still need to see, and we said that all the way to them winning Super Bowl. So it's like we keep saying this about the Eagles, and they're kind of just cruising at 6-2, just had a bye week. So the Eagles, as much as maybe fans of the team are like a little upset because things haven't gotten clicking the way that they want to, probably wouldn't be too worried about them there. I have to mention the Cowboys because what the hell did they do yesterday on Monday Night Football against the Cardinals? That was a brutal, terrible game. Dak Prescott, for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks in the season, looked like he was the best quarterback in the NFL. And yesterday, he looked terrible. The team looked terrible. That defense has not really been good this year either. It sucks because I feel like they had something good going. George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, been one of the top tight ends in the league this year. Williams has been incredible running back, but that offense still leaves something to be desired. And if you don't have, listen, man, the way the NFL works, if your defense is not good, it's not going to work out for you, man. You can't just be a mediocre defense and expect things to happen. So the Cowboys, sad. Guess what? This is not their year either. Sorry, Cowboys fans. I know you like to lie to yourself and say that it is. It is quite literally not. Let's stay in the NFC, and then I'll go back to the AFC because there's no structure to this, as you could see. I'm just jumping around, rambling. The NFC North, I love it. It's the most competitive division in the NFL right now. It looks great. The Packers, the Lions, the Bears, the Vikings. There's storylines everywhere there, man. I think the Packers, Jordan Love has been really good this year, and he's making it work. It sucks that they just lost their tight end Tucker Kraft to a season-ending injury this past weekend, but there's pieces there to make it happen. And I think that he's showing a lot of his progress this season too. And it's a good thing to see whether or not he has healthy receivers out there, Romeo Doubs and all these players. Like he's getting it done with who's out there. The Detroit Lions, it's same thing, man. I think that two-headed monster backfield that I mentioned and Gibbs and Montgomery is incredible. Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have Sam Laporta. Like it's one of those teams that you see them and you're like, oh, we don't know. Something's going to happen on offense and we don't know who it's going to be. And by the time you try to figure it out, they're already in the end zone doing their team celebrations. So the Lions, I think the energy that they have under Dan Campbell, the defense is pretty solid. I would say one of the better ones in the league. That's just me without even looking at things statistically. Really good. I think this is a really good football team. I would have them in the top of the NFC for me right now, along with the Eagles. Then the Bears are interesting because the Bears have been starting to make things happen. They got lucky this weekend. I don't know how the hell the Bengals blew that, but Caleb Williams is starting to look a bit more comfortable. And I think that I don't think they're going to be able to sustain the level that they are right now because right now they're 5-3 right there. And so the Packers are 5-1, the Lions are 5-3, the Bears are 5-3, and then the Vikings are 4-4. So I don't think they're going to be able to sustain that upper echelon with the Lions and the Packers, but they're showing good signs, and that's all you really want to see out of this team because it's a little bit of a project for them, right? But they're showing good signs, which is exciting to see. Man, if you're a Bears fan, you just want to get excited about something, and I think they're stepping in the right direction. And then the Vikings, man, they just got JJ McCarthy back, another team that you look at that offense and they have some pretty good weapons. Obviously, Jefferson is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but interesting to see what's happening in Minnesota. I just want to see JJ McCarthy for a longer stretch of time. I think that would be a lot of fun to see. So great division. Very, very fun what's happening there. I still think at the end of the day, the Lions are going to win the division, but the Packers are standing strong for now. I think it does pan out for the Lions, but great things happening in the North. In the South, there are not great things happening in the NFC South. This Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who is a team that I say, if healthy, probably the best offense in the NFL. I mean, that offense is so stacked with Mike Evans, with with Baker Mayfield, who has just been. I think Baker Mayfield's resurgence is probably one of the best stories in the NFL in the past few years. People count him out so quickly, and he's able to just come back and make this work in Tampa. And you see like Mike Evans unfortunately gets hurt so much. Chris Godwin has a season-ending injury, but then Jigba comes up this year and this has been incredible. Like talk about somebody making it happen with whoever's around him. Bucky Irving is incredible the first few weeks of the season. Now he has like this phantom injury where we don't know when he's coming back, if he's coming back. He's had a few injuries that he's been dealing with, but then like they just put Rashid White there, and it's like, oh, Rashad White, sorry, and it's just like there's so many weapons on that team, and I think defensively they've been a little bit suspect at certain moments, but they're so well rounded. If that team does get healthy towards December, I could see them legitimately making a deep playoff run. Everybody else in this NFC South is not really worth mentioning. Sorry to the Panthers, Bryce Young and company over there. The Atlanta Falcons, not moving the needle for me. Salute to Bijan Robinson, though. New Orleans Saints, for sure, not moving the needle. And they just traded Shaheed to the Seattle Seahawks, who are surprisingly one of the best teams in the NFL right now, with Sam Darnold as their quarterback. Jackson Smith Jigba is like wide receiver one in the NFL right now. They get Shaheed there. They have Cooper Kupp dealing with a little bit of injury. They have two running backs in Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. Like, pieces are there. Then the other side of me comes in and it's like, well, it's Sam Darnold. Like, we've seen it in the regular season. Will it happen in the playoffs? Listen, man, sneaky team. The Rams are right under them in the West. And the Rams, I think it's the same business as usual for them. I don't think they look spectacular, but then you'll see these Matt Stafford games and you're like, oh man, like, damn, they have Devontae Adams on that team. Like, that's kind of crazy. They have a great running back, Karen Williams. Like, I think they'll be in the mix. I don't think they're gonna be good enough to make a run in the playoffs, but I think they'll be in the mix and they're doing it convincingly. What I don't understand is how the San Francisco 49ers, with all the injuries in the world, are 6-3. Salute to them, because that's like a record that is very off-putting on what's been happening for them this season. But they're somehow between Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, like they're doing something right. They might be getting a little lucky here and there in certain games, but they're figuring it out. And it seems like every week is a different wide receiver that's hurt out there. Incredible. And the Arizona Cardinals, not good. They finally just named Jacoby Brissett the starting quarterback after Kyler Murray's been dealing with injuries here and there. And salute to everybody in my fantasy team. A few weeks ago, I was like, yo, this team is way better with Brissett at quarterback than Kyler Murray. Fully believe that. And now he's going to get the chance to show that. Jacoby has been like a very solid, serviceable backup quarterback in the NFL. And Kyler Murray just wasn't doing it. I don't know what the future holds for him, but it's not good. It does not seem good at all. That's the NFC. Back to the AFC. The shock of the AFC between the Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones going there, and like I mentioned, to Baker Mayfield's credit, might be one of the best stories in the NFL too. Just what he's been able to do in Indy after being written off, ridiculed, and trashed in New York when he was with the Giants has gone to Indianapolis and is a legitimate MVP candidate, which is crazy. They're 5-0 at home, undefeated, and it's an incredible thing happening in Indy, where he is the centerpiece of this team that has an elite running back in Jonathan Taylor, but and Jonathan Taylor has been very, very good. Don't get me wrong, like very, very good this year, but it's still what Daniel Jones has been able to do with not a rotating core, but just like a core of receivers that, like, maybe one day is Pittman, maybe one day is Alec Pierce, maybe one day is Josh Downs. Like, you don't know what you're going to get from it, but what you've gotten from it so far is 7 wins and 2 losses, and it's been really, really good. And the other surprising team in the AFC has been the Denver Broncos to me. And the Denver Broncos are dangerous because on offense, they're good. I think Bo Nix has been really, really good. I don't think that their offense is as talented as other ones around the league. But to the point I made earlier, when you have a good defense in the NFL, it could get you far. And the Broncos have a really, really good defense in the NFL. And Patrick Surtain is out with injury right now, but they're defensively, they're game changers. And that's what wins you games in the NFL. That's what wins you championships. It's an adage oldest time, but defense does win championships 100%, specifically in football. And the Broncos have a defense that could help carry them. I just don't think that the offense when you start lining them up with teams like perhaps the Ravens, which is crazy to say because the Ravens are 3-5 right now. You line them up with teams like maybe the Bills, the better teams in the AFC. We still have to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. As much as people want to count them out, they're going to be there. We know they are. It's Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's going to happen. The Chargers are like fringe of the line right now because they've had a lot of injuries on offense too. But I still fully believe that Justin Herbert, a core of Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey, like Godston, who's been just coming into his own in these last few games as a tight end, they get a. It sucks that their backfield has been so injured, but if they get Hampton back at some point, like, this is a team that could make some noise. So I think that these offenses that I'm mentioning, obviously with the Colts, I wouldn't put the Patriots up there. If I have to make a comparison, I feel like the Patriots offense and the Broncos offense are very similar in terms of, like, they're good. They're having great seasons so far right now, the best records in the NFL. But the offenses don't convince me as much as weapons wise. Now, if you talk about Drake May and you talk about Bo Nix, incredible season so far. But sometimes you do need these stars in these big moments to step up. As I was talking about with the World Series, you get into playoff games and you're like, all right, man, we need, we're looking at Patrick Mahomes on the other side, and he has somebody like Travis Kelce who's done it forever. Like, you're going to most likely give them the benefit of the doubt, but that's when the defense comes into play. And why I say that the Broncos might be able defensively to make a little bit of noise in the NFL. They can sustain this, and let's say they do win the division, which is it's still going to be up for grabs. They could make some noise. But that is just my quick ramblings on the NFL season because it's been so much fun, so much happening. And I had to say something because it moves quickly. We are already in November. Before you know it, we'll be talking about the playoffs and matchups and things of that nature. But I'm excited for this week of games coming up. This is officially week 10. Speaking of the Broncos, they have the first game on Thursday Night Football. They're playing the Raiders at Denver, which should be a win at Mile High, but things are crazy. Then you look at the slate for the weekend. What really jumps out? I already mentioned the Patriots and Bucks. The Bucks are coming off of a bye week, so it's always interesting to see how teams come off of a bye, and they're getting a Patriots team that has won 6 straight, is in top form. That's gonna be probably a very, very fun game. You have a divisional matchup in the Rams and the 49ers, which is always interesting as well. So keep an eye on that one. I would have been excited for the Lions and the Commanders, but it's no more Jaden Daniels. So sorry to Marcus Mariota. It's not quite moving the needle. I think one of the most important games of the week is going to be the Ravens at Minnesota. We'll see if the Ravens, coming off that big win over the Dolphins, will be able to kind of keep that same energy and keep that level of competitiveness and flow on the offense that they need to kind of get back in that good standings, because they have a lot of ground to cover. And then you have JJ McCarthy ready to kind of make a name for himself. And this is a big stage to do it against the Ravens. And then the most important game of the week just happens to be the Monday Night Football matchup this week. The Eagles at Lambeau Field against the Packers. It's one of those games that, like, you see it and you're like, yeah, I can't wait for this one. I'm going to see Jordan Love versus Jalen Hurts, Michael Parsons versus that Eagles offense. And let's see if Saquon can get going. Let's see how they let A.J. Brown, whether he's in the game, whether he's out of the game, because sometimes he takes himself out of the games mentally. Sometimes it might be coaching. It might be whatever the hell's going on in Philly. But that should be a very, very good one. And with that, I think I'm done, because how the hell did I ramble for 44 minutes just off the top of the head? That's how you know I really care about this stuff. That's how you know I really care about y'all, because I'm here talking on a random Tuesday when I could be doing 1,000 other things. But it's all love. I had to be here, had to do it, had to get those thoughts off my mind. For the soccer fans, tap in. We have a full weekend of game 3s in the MLS Cup playoffs. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Inter Miami, Nashville on Saturday. Is Messi and Miami going to get bounced out of the playoffs in the first round again? Crazy. Hell is real. Is that Darlington Nagby's last game in MLS? Charlotte, New York, interesting as well. And then San Diego on the ropes maybe after such a great expansion season. Listen to the playoff preview episode. We did have Eli Lesser there. We made our picks, and things look pretty good. The brackets so far are panning out, I think, for the most part, how we have them. We'll see what happens after this weekend. And then the star of the show is LAFC versus Vancouver, which is going to be later down the road because the MLS playoffs are crazy and we have an international break. But LAFC Vancouver in Vancouver, November 22nd. Playoff atmosphere. Sun Heung-min, Thomas Mueller. It's gonna be, I think. Well, I've already seen the numbers. Over 50,000 people at BC Place, or something crazy like that. So the Upper Bowl is open. It's gonna be insane. If there's a game you need to watch in MLS, it's that one, and it's gonna be free. It's on Apple TV. You know where to find it. Now I just sound like I'm doing promo. So I'm out of here, man. I love y'all. Peace. Oh wait. I got one more thing. Nah, I'm really out. Love y'all. Until next time.